What's going on? This is Big G from G-Rides and welcome to another episode of Testing Rides. Today, I'm going to be testing out the 2018 Ford Mustang Convertible. Welcome to the 2018 Ford Mustang. Introduced back in 2015, the S550 body style of the Ford Mustang was the most drastic overhaul of the Mustang in the Mustang's history. So basically, you already probably know this, but the Mustang went from a live rear axle to independent rear suspension, which completely changed this car from being a pony car, muscle car type of thing to an actual real sports car. Alright, so this is the 2018 Ford Mustang Convertible, and this is the mid-cycle refresh for the Ford Mustang. So they made the front look a little bit different, they made the rear look a little bit different, and the big news of this model is they added the new 10-speed automatic transmission, which kind of made each model a lot faster than it was before. Alright, so this is the range model of the Ford Mustang Ecoboost convertible. So this is the premium. So this one comes with a 2.3 liter inline 4-cylinder that's turbocharged, making 310 horsepower and 320 foot-pounds of torque. And also, so if this wasn't the convertible, it'd make about 350 foot-pounds of torque in the coupe. So, like I've said, this one is made to the 10-speed automatic transmission, and this is a rear-wheel drive sports car. Because it's the convertible, it's not the lightest car in the world. So this car weighs about 3,600 pounds, which is, you know, kind of a lot considering this is the 4-cylinder variant, but it's mainly because it's a convertible and because of the weight, the little bit extra weight. It does only get 20 in the city and 29 out on the highway, which still isn't bad considering this car is pretty quick. This is the 2018 Ford Mustang Premium Convertible, and the regular Ford Mustang starts at about $25,000, but the convertible starts at around $30,000. Since this is the premium, it does have the heated and cold seats, leather seats. It does have, you know, all the creature comfort you'll want from a nicer vehicle. But because of that, this car is about $40,000. $40,000, well, $39,000 with destination and everything like that, but that's basically $40,000. And $40,000 for the 4-cylinder convertible, I think it's kind of a lot, because for the same amount of money, you could get the basic Mustang GT for that price, and also like the coupe equivalent to this vehicle is about $33,000 or so. So I just feel like, you know, $40,000 is quite a bit for, you know, the convertible. I feel like this car should be a little bit cheaper, but still not bad. It's pretty nice inside. Alright, let's go ahead and hop inside the vehicle. Since the pre-facelift model of the Ford Mustang, it always had the comfort access to push-button starter. So grab the door handle, unlock it, and we're going to go ahead and hop in. Alright, welcome to the interior of the 2018 Ford Mustang Convertible. The Mustang interior, like with the S550 generation, has always been a pretty nice place to be. Like, all the materials in here is really nice. Like, it definitely looks like it's a well-built vehicle, and Ford has never built a well-built Mustang like this ever, and I think it's mainly because this vehicle sold in Europe now and it has a lot to compete with over there. So it's nice that they did that finally. So like up here, over here where I put my arm to rest to drive on, it's nice and soft. It has this nice leather interior here. The steering wheel has a nice feel, and now in 2018 you can get a heated steering wheel on this car, which is pretty necessary. I like that quite a bit. Like, everything in the center console looks really nice. All the buttons and dials and things like that feel really nice to the touch, like the knobs and everything. And unlike the Ford Explorer, this doesn't have like a million knobs and buttons to mess with, which I like quite a bit. Like, it's funny how they can put a million knobs and buttons in one car and hardly none in another, and I kind of like the simple center stack and infotainment system of this vehicle. Not a big fan of these vents, because I mean, these vents are like from a 2001 Ford Econoline pass van, and you know, at this point, like, not a fan of these. They should do something different with this design, but I do like this aluminum finish up here on the dash. It looks good. Where it says Mustang over here on the side, in case you need to know what kind of car you're in, but it does look nice. And I do kind of like these little like, I don't know, like little shelf things or whatever. I don't know what to call them, but they look nice in the vehicle. Overall, this interior design is really nice. So let me go ahead and start the car so we can kind of look at the infotainment system and the little standard screen here in the dash. And I really like the position of the push button starter button right there. It's pretty simple. It's pretty easy to find. I'm not going to go through the center menu here. It's basically the same as the previous model, except you get track apps like 0 to 60 timer and line lock, which was only reserved for the Mustang GT, like in the previous, like in the pre-facelift S550. And infotainment systems basically the same as it was. Sync 3 here. Sync 3 is one of the better infotainment systems on the market, and there's no need to go and talk about that too much anymore, just because it's basically the same. So let's move over to the. We'll go ahead and open the door up here. Open it up. So, what I was talking about in the interior here, I like this leather stitch piece here on the door here. It has like this nice white stitching. It looks really nice on the vehicle. Kind of reminds me of like what the taillights look like. And then here on the seats are really nice in the vehicle. They're very comfortable, but still pretty decently supportive. And honestly, like, they're really good seats and they're really comfortable. You definitely could do a lot of miles in this car. I did like a 220 mile road trip in this car, and it was pretty comfortable overall. But honestly, the Ford Mustang is a very, very nice place to sit, very nice place to spend time in, and I'm really glad that with this generation they did this. But for the most part, everything is the same in this vehicle, the 2018, except in like you can opt for the 12-inch digital cockpit type of thing like Audi does now, which I wish this one had, but still really nice. All right, let's talk about the back seat. Wait. There is no back seat. All right, welcome to the 2018 Mustang. Welcome to the 2018 Mustang Ecoboost convertible review, the driving portion. All right, so let's get this started with a little 0 to 60. That wasn't very good. I mean, I had a lot of wheel spin. It started a little burnout there. Welcome to the 2018 Ford Mustang Ecoboost convertible. So this is the facelifted Mustang, and it's just as good to drive as the previous body style, as the previous model was. It's really it's very comfortable to drive. The suspension is pretty nice. The steering is pretty good, and I'll kind of go into each detail. But it's just the Mustang's a very good sports car nowadays. The Mustang's a very good sports car. So everything is basically the same as terms of the interior quality and, you know, kind of the handling. Only thing really that's different on these 2018s, especially for the Ecoboost, especially, is the 10-speed transmission. So the new 10-speed transmission. So I'm not even gonna waste any time in getting in here to talking about that. So how is the new 10-speed transmission? Honestly, it's good, but it's not great. So what do I mean by that? So when you're going along, you're accelerating, downshift a couple gears here. When you accelerate here, it gets going pretty good. Like, the transmission is pretty quick. It just rips off the shifts like it's nothing. It's kind of close to dual clutch fast, honestly. But the only issue that I kind of have with it, when you're not going very fast, when you're kind of creeping along, going slow, it could be a bit lurchy sometimes, which is, you know, not particularly good. I mean, I think that this transmission, even though it's been out for a couple years now with the trucks and things like that now, but with the Mustang, I feel like it needs a little bit more work. I think it's a little bit too aggressive, kind of low end. Sometimes you get some lurchiness, sometimes you get some not very smooth gear changes, but overall it's not bad. It's a step in the right direction. I was always one of the people that were saying that I really wish Mustang would go with something like a dual clutch with the Ecoboost, because it'd be a monster if it had something like a dual clutch, and I still agree with that. But this new 10-speed is a very good solution to that problem. It just it probably needs to be reprogrammed a couple times before it can be dialed in, and I'll probably have to review like another one once the transmission is dialed in a little bit more. So moving past the transmission, so how is this thing to drive besides the transmission? Well, it handles really great, actually. Like, you can take this thing around corners pretty quickly. I mean, it's supposed to do that. It's a damn sports car after all. I mean, steering is really good. You can kind of change the response of the steering. You got comfort, sport, normal, sport, and comfort. I typically drive it in sport when I'm just driving around town, but on the highway I was driving it in comfort, just so you know, can lighten up the steering a little bit. That's the one thing I can say about the new Mustangs. The steering feel is actually pretty good in these cars. To be an electric steering system, you know, electric steering has come a long way since it kind of first got, you know, introduced. So I'm liking it quite a bit. I really like the suspension in this vehicle, because when you're just driving along nicely like I am now behind this car, it's pretty comfortable. It's not too harsh, not too hard. It's really nice. It's pretty comfortable. But then when you want to have fun, this thing basically kind of squats down and handles the corners. You can take corners pretty quickly in this car, but you know, that's something that this is supposed to do. It's a damn sports car after all. But it is very good. It's really comfortable, and you know, it's good suspension setup overall. So the Ecoboost Mustang horsepower number and torque numbers is up from last year. So now with this new 10-speed transmission, and now with the V6 being gone completely, this does have 310 horsepower and 320 foot-pounds of torque. And I think the fastback coupes get 350 foot-pounds, which is it's a ridiculous amount of torque. But 320 foot-pounds of torque in this thing is pretty quick. I'm really glad they, like, even though the 10-speed transmission is not the smoothest transmission around, but the addition with this 10-speed in this car made this car a lot faster. I have driven the 2015 and 2017 Mustang, and the Ecoboost Mustang has always been pretty decent, but with this new 10-speed, it's a lot faster than it was. Like, just for normal driving, I'm noticing. I'm gonna do a quick pull in a second. The next clip you see will be a little pull here. This thing is freaking quick. heck no. So with the addition of this 10-speed transmission, it introduced something that the Ecoboost Mustang didn't really have last time, which is top end. Because the gears are so short, it kind of stays in its peak boost for a lot longer than it was before. Because I know sometimes with the old transmission, it would kind of fall out of boost a little bit, but not that much. But this one, you notice that this one is staying locked in boost. And to be honest, it kind of reminds me of a CVT. And I know people are gonna roast me for that because it's a 10-speed automatic and not a CVT, but it takes what's good about having a CVT is basically being kind of locked in its rev range, so it just kind of shifts those gears in its peak boost, which is really nice. It keeps the car, it makes the car feel a lot more powerful than kind of what it is, and it just makes the car just push forward a lot better. But by any means, it's no CVT. That's, you know, kind of some differences I noticed between this model and the previous one is you hear a little bit more turbo noise. But they did something different with the intake on this new one, so you get a little bit more turbo noise inside the car, which is kind of awesome. I love turbo noise, and that's one of my biggest complaints about my Golf GTI is I don't get a lot of turbo noise, but I know I could probably put an intake or a downpipe or something to fix that problem. But I like that this new Mustang gives you that from the factory. So overall, what do I think about the Mustang? I think the Mustang, the updated Mustang drives just kind of like it's just like the previous Mustang. If you like the previous Mustang, you're gonna like this Mustang a lot too. Except this one's a lot faster. It's a little bit more efficient because the 10-speed transmission, you can be going 75 miles an hour at 2,000 RPM, which is pretty good. You know, the looks of this one is a lot more aggressive than the previous one, and honestly, it's just this Mustang is a great just evolution of the regular Mustang. I know this is not like an all-new redesign or nothing like that. It's just a facelift, but it's honestly definitely good. So should you consider getting rid of your 2017 or your 2016 for the 2018? Honestly, that's for you to decide, because I just feel like that it all depends on what you're after. If you want a more efficient, faster vehicle, like version of the vehicle that you currently have, whether you have an Ecoboost or a V8, I will say do it. But if you're just thinking of maybe switching up for the new one just because, you know, it's drastically different, I'm gonna tell you now, it's not drastically different. Only thing really different is just the front and the transmission, but that's really it. For the most part, this is the same exact car. It's the same exact well-built, comfortable, great-looking, fun to drive car that it was in the previous look. And I feel like they just improved upon that with this facelift model. If you like this video, hit me with the thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, keep riding with me. Thanks for watching.